The current spoiler warning level is butterscotch.
Friends and folks, for this episode, you're looking at a spoiler warning level of butterscotch. We are once again talking about machines from Gasaraki, finishing up from last week, and we do talk about some significant plot details. Not, there's some stuff, right? And so it is a little spoilery for Gasaraki, if you care about that. Also, if this episode sounds a little funny, it's because we had to use the backup for this one, because of some audio issues with my AC turning on and off. Anyway, please enjoy the episode. Hello, friends and folks, and welcome back to Mechanista and G, and our first 2 podcast day in a while. Well, I say that now, this is the first one, and, maybe something will happen. But anyway, I'm Six Detmar.
And I'm Dylan.
I'll need to find my dice for the next one. They're not right here, but that's fine. We don't need them for this one, because we're just going to sort of pick up where we left off.
Yeah. So last time, we talked about, all the Ishtar the Ishtar and its variants, right?
And some of its relatives, yeah.
Yeah. So now we're gonna talk about the actual tactical armors as opposed to the quote-unquote metal fakes, I guess.
Yeah. More Gasaraki, since we haven't said that name so far.
Oh, yes. But... So we have the Raiden, I guess we'll just start with, and then there are variants of it we'll talk about, but yeah. So let's pull that up. I'm trying to get my I'm getting the Izubuchi book open real quick just to get the art.
I'll put this up for the Whoa, that
What happened there?
It's from the Gasaraki wiki. That one doesn't play nice. I'm gonna go to
yeah.
MHQ.
That was a weird one.
Some
right.
weird placement of alpha channels on that image.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. There's the page. I'll let you adjust that since you're doing the video.
Here we are.
All right. So here we have the Raiden, the Type 17 Raiden.
Yeah.
So the Raiden, I'm also taking a screenshot of the one from the wiki, if only to have the colors. I just screenshotted it so that way it wouldn't have the fucked up alpha channels.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see the colors. I mean, it's just kind of got a pretty dull brown color for most of it, but. Alright, so for this design, starting with the quote-unquote head, we've got almost like a, it reminds me of an elongated, frog helm, if you've ever, like a medieval helmet with the,
Sure, yes.
It's got the little lip on the front of it there, it kind of ends in a bit of a point. You have a dividing line going around that. The actual eyes, though, are on the base, where you would consider the neck. You can see a bunch of these little slits here. And these little slits have cameras in them that one can see. If real quick, I'm pulling up the opening just to show those.
Oh, we can see on the backpack here, this is property of the JSSDF, the Japanese Self-Defense Force.
Yeah, I don't actually remember. Is it maybe Special Self-Defense Force or something?
Likely.
I'm trying to think of what that would be with the extra S. Anyway, I'm just pulling up the one. Well, the opening is inconsistent. They actually change the opening every episode, but just a little bit. But I just wanted to pull it up just because I can.
Yeah, it is Special Self-Defense. Yep.
Okay, that's funny. I'm glad that I was able to get that. Right. Okay, yeah, this one does not. This part of the opening doesn't have it, so let's go to this one. I'm just waiting for them to do the startup so I can see the eyes. Nope. Okay, hold on. I wanted to have them, but I don't have them at the ready. Damn. Okay, here we go. The thing I like is that they're also not all, like, aligned. Like, they'll move separately. Which I just think is
that is
cool.
fun.
But
Kind
yeah.
of Armored Core-ish, a bunch of mono eyes.
Just a bunch all inside those the little slits there at the front. But yeah, and then on the back of the head you have some, like, little ancillary fins. You also have, I would presume that little part there is like an explosive bolt or something, maybe, for like an emergency, like popping the top open, because the pilot is, in this chest area.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, then moving on to the torso, though, the torso is pretty simple overall. You've got like a large breastplate kind of part over the front. You have like a top piece that is just kind of going around the sides, and then you have a like a little bottom piece here. Now what's interesting is I'm looking at the designs here. I'm trying to see what's up with the differences on how these are drawn. Is this that's just the rough that I have there. Whoops. That is my bad. That is the wrong page. I mean, we were using the larger images anyway, but for people, just so we have the right image there, this is the actual final.
I'm also going to replace this image over here, the color image.
Yeah.
Because the Gasaraki website is still up.
Oh, thanks, Bandai. Or Sunrise. Okay, cool. And it doesn't have crazy-ass alpha channels. It's a little bigger. What a weird thing. You know what it reminds me of is, like, it reminds me of, like, when people would do, like, the GIF, like, weird GIFs that were not actually GIFs back in the day, like, that don't move. Oh, yeah, it is a GIF, even. They do it for the transparency. That feels like something that, like, an old fan site would have, like an Angel Fire website or something. Anyway.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But yeah, so for the armor around the top, you've got like this upper piece that juts forward a bit. It does have like a little flat piece on the front of it. More of those like little bolt-looking pieces on like the sides of it, but not a lot of like real detail or function going on here. It is armor. It is chest armor. That is just armor. You have a much larger plate below that for the stomach area. And then the thing that makes this kind of weird is before we get to the arms, we have these large sections on the side here. They've got like, I believe these are smoke dispensers on the top. We actually can see during that suit-up sequence that they show during the opening, we actually see these popped open, and here. Before it closes, you can see these right here. So it looks like these are like little smoke dispensers or something, just like an arrangement of them underneath the pod there.
Mm-hmm.
And then this part collapses down, and then the armor, flips over it. Which is just kind of neat. They have a couple of fun little things in the suit-up sequence, like, I don't have a gif of it all, but, like, I'll just keep it at the ready for when we discuss certain things. Anyway, so yeah, presumably it could be also a multi-launcher. I don't think you would have missiles that are that small, though. Well, you could have grenades, actually, but typically I believe it's just smoke dischargers that we see it used there. And then on the lower part, you have like I can't remember what's in this latch. I believe it might have a grappling hook in there. I'm just double checking.
It says it has a lifting winch on the website.
Yep, and they are mounted below the smoke dischargers. It's a winch large enough to lift it by itself with a drum with enough cable to scale a 3 to 4 story building and a rocket powered anchor. Don't really have a good view of that, but basically it pops open. It's a it's got a grappling hook that it can fire. It fires both of them. It can use them again for scaling a building. That's the first time we see it. It is what it does with it. If it does it, this show again very much doing like the real robot thing of like, hey, we want to, this thing doesn't have jump jets, it has little cables. Here we are. I found a little bit I can show. So I like the way that they face too, because again, you would look at that and maybe assume, oh, do they face forward or something weird? No, that pops open and they just shoot upward from there. And then when they land on when they land where they need to land, they lock in and it is able to then, pull the cable, and it has enough tension strength that it can like actually pull the design up.
But these are a different unit, right? There's only one Raiden?
Yeah. No, there's multiple Raidens.
Oh, okay.
These are all Raidens. Yeah. It's
Huh.
not like, yeah. It's there's no hero mech in this. There's just there's the Ishtars and the Raidens, and there are minor variations throughout, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. So connected to these little side parts though that have the smoke dischargers and the little the grappling hook and wire are the arms. We have the shoulder unit, which is pretty simple pauldron. Main thing that's a little weird with it is it just has like a very squared off handle on the top of it for like, presumably if it's like loaded onto a vehicle or something, you would run a cable through that or something.
Mm-hmm.
It does have like little decals on the front of it. You have some cuts on the top of it. For the bicep, we have a really cool thing with the bicep that I like, where so you have a lot of armor, but then you have like this kind of like how would I put it? Like these layers of
like
armor,
thin overlapping plates.
thin,
I mean, like
yeah,
like a collapsing colander. I mean, or like the samurai armor.
So
but,
when it moves, when it bends the arm though, this pulls with the arm. It like moves a little, so it's just like it's attached to the joint, and it's a cool looking part there. Can't see too much of the joint, but it is armored, much like the Ishtar there. You just have a bunch of layers of armor on the inner elbow there. You have a bit of armor on the back of the forearm going around the elbow. You have this like little, some kind of like port or something there, like a little circular piece. More of these armor, like, screws or whatever, the shape. Izubuchi puts them on everything that shows up in Gundam on the joints. It's the circle with the line through it. Shows up in a lot of, again, I think of it as Izubuchi because it's on the Patlabor logo. They even have them. But yeah. So you got some of those on the forearm there around the outside. Then the forearm, though, just kind of a couple of armor plates going down to the wrist, a separate piece of wrist armor going around. And then we have the hands. The hands are neat because they're made out of like a soft material when we see them. Like, which kind of makes sense for a manipulator, honestly, on a robot, especially one that's not like huge, just to do like, if it has to do like tasks with the hand. The thing in the opening that they always show with this, and I can send you this because I actually do have the GIF of this, is they show it like doing its little rotation. Let me find you so I could directly send you this, since you have our new GIF method.
It's not super sophisticated.
Yeah, but we didn't have it before, and now we do. So I'm still
You're not
impressed.
Wrong. You're not wrong.
It's fucked up because it looks like a real hand because of the soft material. In the opening, they show it do a little test where it runs the fingers, and then it don't have the full thing, but
it's also like laid out and colored, and even like the way that the like artificial muscle is placed to make it look like a hand with a fingerless glove.
Yeah, the thing that makes it weird here is right after it does this finger test, it then does spinning it 360 degrees, and it's like, But yeah. But it's fun that it does that. Like, it has this like weird material for the hand, because again, we're so used to, and basically everything we do, it's just the same kind of armored manipulator design that everything does, which, I get it, but it's fun when there's differences. Anyway, then moving on to the waist, we've got a singular crotch piece that's just like a bit of armor. It's got some cuts in it. You got these little circular like bolt pieces on the top, but nothing too sophisticated going on here. Then for the rear of this design, I just realized this line art doesn't have the rear part. Here, pull this up. You can see it there though, but it kind of has like another flat plate on the back on the like butt area there. It does have like a little hook winch, like a winch hook there, but yeah, I'll put that to the side for now since we had the other image up for a while. But yeah, then moving on to the legs though. So for the thighs are basically just a singular piece with like some panel lines on it, but nothing too, sophisticated going on there either. I do like that it's got like a bulge on the upper outer part, just makes it have like that more organic look, the way that goes. Then moving on to the joints for the knees, you've got, or on the front of the leg, like the, leg joint, you have pieces that separate the knee that are like these big semicircular plates that then have some extra armor on the front of them, just big knee pads. And then on the back of the joint, you actually have like a really complex back of the joint, which is kind of fun. Just getting a close-up of it here to pull up. It sticks out a little, and it's just got a bunch of layers of armor again. It's just weird to have a joint do that, But it's fun. Then for the lower leg, we have lots of flat armor around the sides, around the front, couple layers with panel lines on it. We have more of these little towing hook things, or not hooks, but things that hooks would go into. Little points for that. And then some more armor around like the sides with the little bolts on it. We have these little open areas on the ankle armors here. Kind of a fun thing is that in all the art, they show it open here, but on the design here, it looks like there's like optional armor that you can throw around it, which is fun. So maybe just depending on where it's deployed, it has a leg cover there to cover up the joint. Because they do eventually deploy this in a desert, so that might be when it actually has this. And then for the foot, you've got just armor on you've got the midsection has lots of like layers of armor again, like all the joints tend to have on this with all the moving parts. You have a large piece of armor for the top of the foot, and then a very flat toe piece going around the bottom. And again, it's funny because on the one they have on the website here is using a slightly different design. It's got like two little toe pieces here, but it's the same design though. You can see it's got the same decals and everything. Otherwise, it's just the one little foot part is different. I don't know what's actually differentiating it. That's funny. But yeah. Anyway, then then the backpack. This is where the pilot is loaded into. You've got a really large unit on the back of the armor here that is just it's not really much of a backpack in terms of function. It's just kind of this pops, these parts pop down, this part pops open, and you climb in there. I do like that it's also got some heat sinks in the back middle there. But yeah. Also, it normally has these large fins on either side that are like where the this is where the winch is on the bottom, and this is where the smoke dischargers are. You can actually see, I think that drum right there attached to it is where the cable is like wrapped around normally, but it has been removed in this part of the image so we can see the back middle. So it's got it on one side but not the other. And yeah, that is the Raiden. This is our, hero unit. So in terms of equipment, there's a few things that it has. Just pulling them up real quick. I was also going to see, does MHQ have like the autocannon or anything like separated out of curiosity?
I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's unfortunately just not a lot of art of this is the thing.
It's supposed to be an autocannon, a recoilless rifle, and a grenade launcher, and it can use anti-tank missiles.
Yeah.
But
So, I'm looking on Izubuchi's art here just to see if I have any good art of any of the equipment on it. Well, one thing I can show that is here, so here's the little, I mentioned that when it scales the building, it has the little pile bunkers in the leg that pound into stuff. Here's those. You can see the way the leg pops open there. And then I, of course, because I had that episode open, let me pull that up for when it is going up the building. But, you know, it's just like, it does it like reverse, you know, when you rappel off a wall, like down a wall, it just does that in reverse, right? It launches itself off and then retracts the cables so that it can, you know, yank itself up.
Sure.
Which is fun. It's kind of a destructive way of going up, to be fair. It does damage the building when it does this. It also does this, a weird thing where it has this, like, really big green, like, spark is what they tend to have, like, going around the leg there when it hits. But I like the way the leg slides open to reveal the little pile bunkers. That's always fun. And the little bolt, you know, rotates and pulls open.
Mm-hmm.
But look, I guess if you're using this for tactical operations and, like, scaling buildings and whatnot, you don't really mind if it's getting a little bit of damage. Just blasting into the side of the building to knock itself away.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Anyway, that's that, and then
Capability-wise, how much is it different than the Ishtar?
So when we see this deployed, it's honestly it's pretty similar, if I'm being honest. The main thing is we see it, you know, the bit at the beginning, we see it doing the weapons test, and it's doing a very similar thing as the Ishtar. We see they want to show, hey, why is this useful, like more useful than a conventional tank? And it shows, like, you know, able to run around and outrun like a tank's turret, and then able to, you know, shoot into it. So that's one of the things it is doing. Basically, though, I want to say they are about similar in terms of their overall specs. You know, we see two different factions using these is the thing too, but they never really like upgrade into one another, like to compensate for one another, if that makes sense. Here, real quick, I'm just pulling this up because, so for like one of the larger guns it has, this is not the 25mm autocannon. This is the 75mm recoilless rifle. All the guns tend to attach to the wrist on the right arm. That doesn't hold them conventionally. They attach
Sure.
into the hard point and just extend off, and then it'll use the left arm to brace. But the 25mm is a pretty simple version of this. It's also on the arm, and it's just like a little multi-barrel Gatling gun, about what you would expect for that. Anyway, so yeah, that's the TAs for this. There's a couple of other variations for the Raiden. A couple other little things to show. So, firstly, there is. I'm trying to send this to you. One of its bits of arm equipment is it does have I believe, let me see if this is using the one on the arm. Yes, so much like the rod inside of the leg, it does have a pile bunker for the arm. You can actually see it here using it to dodge some fire because its leg has been destroyed, which is pretty fun. It's just kind of a similar thing. Does like the little green, you know, explosion. And that can be attached to the hard point on the arm, though. Doing it to dodge a line of fire from an aircraft there, which is fun. After getting knocked down. And then that's pretty much it for the equipment overall, though. Like I said, the autocannon, even though I don't have a quick image of it, it's, you know, it's a little wrist Gatling. It's very simple. Anyway, you can, I guess the anti-tank missiles everything is just mounted onto the wrist on this design. This doesn't do the shoulder hardpoint thing. So the Ishtar tends to seem like it has heavier weapons overall, if I'm being honest. But yeah. Then for the variants. So the variants are kind of weird here. So there is a Type17C Raiden Kai. I guess that's the difference between the two we're looking at. You know what's really funny is from what I can see, Izubuchi's book doesn't actually differentiate these, but we already see the difference here on the Kai and the normal one. The foot design is the main thing that's different.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sure,
like outwardly different in terms of the, you know. But stat-wise, it is largely similar to the base model, but we see it attached for airdrop operations. So, you know.
It might have better suspension or something. Who knows?
But it's basically the same thing. Yeah. Usually, also with this machine, this is mentioned on the wiki, and I should mention it here because this is not, Izubuchi does not have art of this vehicle in here, unfortunately. But we typically see speaking of bad alphaing, we typically see a support vehicle brought out with these. So you've got like a command vehicle here. It's got a bunch of like recon equipment and is typically radioing and calling the, you know, these Raidens and doing command operations on the field with it. I guess the main thing with the Kai is that it has a bit more equipment that allows it to operate more independently, as opposed to needing, hey, we need to operate these as a squad and with a support vehicle and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, fair enough. Just, again, very funny kind of, like, gritty mecha thing, even though there's also just not a ton of humanoid weapons going on in Gasaraki overall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I say that. There are variants that'll come up because of the video games and whatnot. But, yeah. We also do see... I guess we do actually... I forgot. We do see one variation of the Raiden in the show, which unfortunately, again, is not in the book. And I'm assuming... Let me see if MAHQ's image of the Shuten is better. Shuten MAHQ. But I doubt it. Let's see. No, it's just black and white art. It's also a very similar design, though, of tactical armor. It's another Raiden variation, and it looks like this. When it is colored blue. There are differences to talk about on the armor, like overall, but shape-wise, it's very similar.
Even more frog helmish, though.
Yeah, the head is a little chunkier. The torso area has, like, these little... I don't know if they would be Gatlings or what, but, you know, it's got, like, little bolts there in the chest. A bit of a rounder stomach area. It still has the pods on the sides of the torso. You got an upper one, presumably smoke discharger still, since it has those. And then the lower one, which would be the lifting winch. Then we've got... The shoulders have a pretty different design. Rather than having the little attachment hooks, it's got these little, like, rounder parts on the top of them. Has a longer title going on the shoulder there. We see some kanji in the number 13. I cannot read that. I don't know what that actually says. It has less overall eyes. It has only 4 eyes on each side instead of... no, the other one actually has... No, the Raiden has 2, 4... No, it only has 4 on each side. Okay, that's the same. It's just they're set a little further back and they're not as long, the holes for them. Then, the armor on the sides of the skirts... Or, the armor, I should say, on the forearms, you have these, like, little shields on the arms, and you do have, like, these little knuckle pieces on the hands. The side skirt, or less side skirt, the side leg armor here is a bit bigger, has a different design with these little, like, grooves on it, and then these little circular parts in the corners. The knees have more circles on this design rather than like just the squarish lines. But yeah, circular parts on the knees here that jut forward, and then for the lower legs, these pill-shaped protrusions going outward on the front, and then slightly different separation. Also looks like it has some kind of like maybe like fuel, much like the Ishtar thing on the leg, or some kind of like fluid or some kind of thing that you fill with something, canister in the back of the leg. And then for the feet, again, different details on the ankle armor and the feet, but like it's overall the same design. It does have the explosive bolts in the foot. At least it's not visible from the outside. Forgot to mention that, but we showed that off last time since the Ishtar had it. And yeah. So yeah, the Shinden is subtle changes. Armor has been redistributed to protect the joints more. They have knuckle dusters on the hands. And then it has a better battery. It can actually... okay, so the Raiden only operates for 60 minutes normally. The Shinden can operate for up to 36 hours. This is not good, actually. Because, well... a thing that we see in the show regularly is when the pilots are piloting these, because they're in a cramped cockpit and whatnot, it's very stressful. They actually are constantly, like, measuring the heart rate of the pilot and whatnot, and, like, the biometrics, and they actually, comes up in the little suit-up sequence. Oh, here's the full suit-up sequence, actually, for the Raiden. I'm just gonna send this to you. And you can determine if you want to show it or not. It doesn't have anything too gross, but it does show like an X-ray heartbeat and an injection happening, because they do inject the pilots with like stabilizers essentially.
Well, you've heard what Dylan just said, folks. I really don't think it's too bad at all. So I'll put it up on screen. 3, 2, 1, bam.
Yep.
And then I'll hopefully count down before I take it away. Gotta let it loop a little bit.
Yep. It's cool that we get to see the whole suit-up sequence, though.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, gone. There you go.
Yeah. And then you also got to see like the backpack and the pilot suit-up sequence and the eyes and whatnot moving there. It's fun. But anyway, yeah. So 36 hours though, you're not going to have a pilot in this for 36 hours. It would be stressful. It would be bad. It will not go good for them.
Well, I mean, a 36-hour operation time, like my
theoretically,
car
you just don't have to recharge it, right?
Yeah, you split it up. It's not like you can't take a break.
Yeah, but nevertheless, you still don't want to. Generally speaking, though, these machines are. We see that you generally don't want people piloting these constantly. Is the thing that comes up.
Fair.
Which is an interesting take to do for a mecha, but it's fun. So yeah, there's that. And then there's one more machine produced by Goa Industries. We have the Gecko, which is really weird. I believe this doesn't show up on the show at all. I believe this is only in the video game, and then it's interesting because Izubuchi actually did do art of this design, like full design of it. So let me pull that up. Here we go. And you can see he even mentions PlayStation game. Is what he did it for. And it's a really weird design overall in shape. So, let me pull up the front and back of it. Unfortunately, we don't have a great front and back overall. We just have this view right here, which shows, you have the rear view on the right. Sorry, the rear view. I've never seen... I understand how you get there, but I'm still surprised about seeing, like, that particular romanization of rear.
It's an interesting one, yeah.
Well, it's just like how the name is the Gecko, and it uses the kanji there, but they put Getkau. Anyway, so yeah, this design has a much more streamlined neck and head, kind of similar to the Ishtar, but more rounded. It's very weird looking. And you have that just kind of like as a big bulge on the top of the body. Lots of little fins on the back of the head, which feel weird. It feels kind of froggy to me or something, or like toady. It's got because of all the bumps and like the head shape and stuff. I don't know why. It just gives me like that kind of vibe. The little camera eyes have actually been moved to the chest here. So you've got them arranged on the chest. You have some like vents or something on the top of the chest on either side. You've got these like little bolt pieces on the front there. You've got some kind of
have even more
seal.
clear like fake eyes up top now.
Yeah, you do have these two little dots here that are like, little circular eyes is what they look like, but they're probably just like bolts or something. You have another vent located on the underside of the torso, singular plate on the front, again, very similar. No, like, grappling wires or anything, at least not located on the, no, like, equipment pod located on the body in that way. For the shoulders, you've got a squared off shoulder piece that runs around the front of the arm, going around to the back. Does have, like, lots of these little stamped metal bits in the armor. You've got an extra piece on the outer side there. It has these little circular divots sticking out. For the actual arm, also circular, you've got like a very cylindrical arm with a little panel line running down the front of it. These arms are... It's funny, because it doesn't come across in this art, but it comes across there. These arms are weirdly skinny and long. You've got, like, the joint. Again, it's an armored joint. And then you've got a bit of armor going around the elbow. Then for the forearm, again, very cylindrical. You've got some panel lines running down it. It has the same kind of zigzag that the bicep has. And you've got like a little circular piece that is stamped into there. And then you get like a little bit of extra wrist swivel going on here with like the way this wrist part is. So the armor looks like it can like move a bit. And then the hands are just the soft material looking hands. And like these arms go below the knee, like when just at rest. So they're quite long. I like it. It's weird. I like when things have weird proportions, but yeah. Then moving on to the waist, you've got a crotch piece on top that has more of the stamped metal on it, and then the lower piece here just kind of has like a little some kind of design in the middle of it, and then some little like panel line parts on the outside you can see there. Then for the skirt, you have armor that like it's attached to the side of the leg still, much like all the quote unquote skirts on this, but it runs around the outside of the leg. It looks much more like a singular skirt piece. It runs around to the back. The back of the waist, you've got like a flat plate with more of that stamped metal kind of X going on, and then it looks like it has some kind of bolt or something on the back there, or some kind of cap put onto the bottom of the waist on the back. For the thighs, not a ton of detail on them still, but they do have like a weird shape. They have this like triangular wedge going forward on them, and then a thick panel line around the bottom of that. For the joint, you've got like a little circular piece that you can see visible on the front of the joint. It sticks out on the back like the one on the Raiden quite a bit. And then for the lower leg here, skinny lower leg with little circular designs going down the front. And then you've got like the little cap on the side of the leg. And then they thin out even more before you reach the foot. You've got a bit of ankle armor just going on here, or instep guard going on here. Just going around the front, very simple design, very flat, like pointy front of it. And then for the feet, armor on the top, flats of the feet. It's pretty similar to what we've seen thus far. And then the backpack, not really much of a backpack, just a big flat opening cockpit piece on the back. And yeah, that's the Gecko. I presume it has more of a role in the game, but it's just like a weirdly simple design that, like, you know, the model here looks neat.
A neat detail that you can barely make out in this is the back. Those little bumps on the back of the head have a little red right in the middle.
Oh, weird. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so this is like it says trash build. I'm wondering if it means he's like using recycled parts. I assume when I read that, I'm like, don't they mean scratch build? But I've never seen the phrase trash build in all my years of looking at model stuff. Maybe that is a phrase, and I don't know it. But yeah. Anyway, this has a bit of changes. The joint is less armored, and it has this kind of like almost like a vacuum tube thing going on with how this was done here. But otherwise, it's just replicating the design as seen in the art. Weirdly shaped guy. I like the big arm cannon, though. It looks similar to, like, the 75mm gun. So that's fun. We also see a squad of these guys with, looks like there's an alternate weapon on the left here. Given that it's... Oh! Yeah, no, it's different up top here.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Just slightly different design on it, but it still looks like it's a large-scale cannon of some sort. And then this one looks like it has... It almost looks like a flamethrower or something, right? With having, like, the way that the nozzle is going on it, and the way it's got, like, this barrel. It's just kind of what it reminds me of.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a little squad of these guys. Again, was sold as a resin kit to promote the game. Anyway. That's that.
Is there only the Kugai left?
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I don't think that there's any other, like, things for the, like, these machines. I don't think there's any other variants. So,
I guess we
yeah.
could knock out, there is another, like, armor vehicle, which is
What
a
is it?
transport.
Oh,
What?
yeah.
Oh, it didn't copy the way it should have. That's fine. Okay. Copy image. There we go. There's also some other art of this on the
Oh, yeah, okay.
wiki.
It's like a, little transport truck.
Here's from the game.
We do have some... Oh, that's fun. Look at them. They look so comfy back there.
They do.
Yeah, those look to be the geckos, I believe. Right? Given the color and the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, one other fun thing, though, actually, sorry, real quick before we move on. I do have a rough of the, some roughs from the book here of the Raiden. The one on the right's really funny because it's much more of almost like a traditional mech in terms of having, like, the, a more distinct head, which is kind of fun to see. But generally speaking, it looks like a lot of the design language for these is pretty much what we got in the final, with, like, the overall shapes used for, like, the legs and whatnot, and, like, the big plate on the front. I mean, I'm sure the size was already determined. This one also looks like it might have, like, a wrist gun, just given the way that it's got this, like, clip on the arm there, and the way that this is designed. I don't know for sure, though. That looks like a clip to me. And then, we have one other one here. This one's kind of a fun, detailed variation. I like this head a lot. It reminds me of the Kojima Studios mascot, kind of, when I see it like this. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like the...
Yeah. The Ludens.
Yeah, Ludens, I think is the name. Just kind of reminds me of that. I guess actually looking at the Ludens, it does have a very Gasaraki-esque head, because it's also doing that kind of helmet.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't hang as far forward as I was thinking in my head, because that was what made me think of it, as it having the quote-unquote, like, underbite on the helmet there. But it actually, it has a little bit of one, but it's not actually... It has a little bit of one. Yeah, it's not actually as much as I thought. Anyway. But yeah, just some prototype ones. I just think these are fun to look at and show to people. Nothing much to say about them. They're just cool looking. I do like that this one has the Patlabor style asymmetrical antenna on the collar there also. That's fun.
But I think the Kugai is our last one here.
Yep. So, this is what... Oh, hold on.
Yeah, crunchy. Yeah. You can probably find a better.
Here we go. I have it in this book. So, this is the thing on which all the tactical armors are based, and this is the really funny thing about this show, because it goes from being very real robot to the Kugai, which is an ancient Oni-like robot created in the Heian era.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, these were given to the two rival clans, the Goa and Watanabe clans, which of course the Goa are at the center of the Goa group, and the Watanabe clan are actually the ones who run. Even though they're located, like Symbol is located in the USA, the Watanabe clans are who run it. So they both made these armors based on them. Yeah. So the Kugai, it is a weird, fucked up like Oni robot. So starting with the head, you've got a masked samurai head with like a helmet. The helmet is covered in spikes. Let me get a zoom in of the art for everyone actually real quick. Just for what I'm working on
So
here.
this model here is, well, model, but this version here is referred to as the Shuten. We also have the Katsuten, which we'll pull up
Yeah.
in a minute.
I think the Katsuten, I don't think we see it in the show, but I think the Katsuten is like supposed to be the other one that was given away.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't remember if the Kugai is the one we see a lot in the show though. Anyway, yeah, so it's a helmet. It's got a rounded helmet with a ponytail sticking out of the top of it, like long, hair that is coming out of that. The helmet has like these rows of spikes running up it. The face is very much like it's just like a mask meant to look like a devil face. It's got two horns facing forward. You got these inset eyes. Got a wide mouth with these like fangs, these big teeth showing through on it. Then for the neck armor and whatnot, you've got like the layers of lacquered looking armor going around the side of the head. This looks like very much samurai armor aesthetic overall on this, though kind of mixed with Western armor. It's kind of interesting. It's weird, right? Like it's got a mix of both going on. And then
I don't think it does.
Oh, you don't think so?
No, I think there are just other designs of samurai armor you're not thinking of.
Okay.
Is
I was
how
just
it feels
thinking
to
with
me.
like it was mostly just all like having all these like bolts and screws and stuff that felt.
I get, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Because I just am not used to seeing. I feel like I don't usually see like that kind of like thing going on with samurai armor, like the little bolts. But then again, this design is weird. This design is very funny considering what we've been looking at thus far.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you've got a big plate right under the face, going around the upper part of the chest here. You've got this big plate of armor on the chest, very much designed in a similar way, because again, this is like where all these tactical armors are derived from. So they actually do have a very similar chest structure, though the chest on this is tied and the armor is all tied together, which is fun. So you've got like this, rope going around the underside into some armor that's going around the abdomen towards the back, and then you've got these little loops that the rope is tied through. Just bunch of plates on the front. For the arms, we have very asymmetrical arms. You've got a bit of rounded shoulder armor on the right arm, has a bit of a lip at the end of it. Well, the left arm, you can see it down here. Let me get a zoom in though of that. This one is a bit more like just the layered samurai armor. It's just a bunch of layers of armor going down all the way to the... It actually goes down low enough to protect a little bit of the joint on the left arm. Then the biceps, I believe, are the same on both arms, just circular armor with it's like little rivets in it. And then you've got the joints, which they have like a mesh kind of netting going on with them. You can kind of see it on both sides here. It's just, they're covered by some kind of like cloth mesh. Now, the forearms are where these arms are very different. The left arm is kind of a standard arm, just armor going around the wrist and whatnot. It's just shaped like an arm with a hand at the end. The hand does have like some little spikes on the armor, but, it's not really too notable. The right arm, though, is a longer arm with like a bunch of layers of armor. You have like a big spiked pad on the joint area here on the right arm, and then you just get a bunch of layers of armor running down this arm on the right arm. And then the hand, I believe it's pretty much the same hand, actually, though it does look more menacing because, the fingers are curled up, and it's got, like, pointy armor on the ends of the hands there. And then for the skirts, you've got the front skirt is like a bunch of layers of armor. You've got like a base layer, a secondary layer, and then a final layer that hangs down pretty low. Has some ornamentation at the bottom of it, it looks like. Just, lines and little parts hanging on it. For the skirts, you've got a big skirt that just runs around the sides and back of this design. Again, doing many layers of like very lacquer looking armor. Does have these like little, almost like a shield or a badge kind of piece on the front of them, is what it looks like, which is kind of funny. Just kind of hanging on the bottom of these skirt parts. Very thick thighs. It's a little hard to see from where the hand is, but the thighs on this design are really thick. Here, I have a good front view of this actually, because that'll help with seeing that. They're just very wide. They, taper down to the knees. It almost looks like it's wearing pants. This is what it looks like, that are like tucked into these armor here.
Sure, it's trying to do like evoke Hakama. So
yeah, just tucked into the boots. And then the lower legs, you've got like a circular knee piece with some parts going up top of it, just running around that. Then the lower legs, just all armor with lots of little circular designs and panel lines, but no real function to it. The thing is, this thing is very simple in what it does for, what it is doing. So not a lot of function to these parts, just it is leg that is armored and held together by little bolts and whatnot. And then we got a spiked ankle armor, and then the feet look a lot more like feet, or foot armor than the designs on the Shuten or the Raiden and all that. So you've got like a couple of layers of armor. Theoretically, if the foot wanted to like move more organically, these parts are all moving. You do have like a big heel piece though that is a bit more flat. And yeah, you can actually see, even though here it's covered, you can see the exposed artificial muscle on this arm here, because this does have the artificial muscle running through it. And yeah, this machine's funny, right? Like, it's just not. It's funny to have all of these like incredibly real robot.
How late into the show is this revealed?
About the halfway mark before things start getting really weird in the show.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
You can see it wielding its sword here with the right arm.
Its big slinky arm. It also has a different sword. It has a Shito. There we go. Thank you. AKA a 7-branch sword.
Yeah, you can see it there. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, this machine, when we see it, so obviously it comes up in flashbacks. We do see it in the modern time. When we see it in the modern time, it absolutely fucking wrecks the machines we see it fighting, which is really funny. Wrecks them violently, too. Hold on, let me, I think these clips are going to be too big, but you know what? I'm just going to upload them, because I assume if I upload them somewhere, I can just, link them to you. Because it is weird. And kind of horrifying. So, hold on. I'm just going to Google Drive these real quick, because that seems like the easiest image thing to upload these to real fast. So, here we go. That only takes a second. Also, apologies if you hear my cat. He really wants in my room, and I don't know why. I assume he wants extra food.
But or just, doesn't like being locked out of something.
I mean, that's cats, baby. Alright, let me see. Share. Anyone with the link. There we go. Copy link. Alright, I'm just going to send this to you directly. I don't know if you'll be able to... Well, I'll probably just open it in our browser and then show it as a GIF. Like, Google should show that, right? Or preview that.
It's thinking. Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah.
Wow, just stomped on that robot's dick.
Yeah, the stomp on the thigh feels so violent there. It's really funny that we just see this thing just absolutely wrecking when it's there. So it's just this, you go from a real robot show that is like, TAs fighting like vehicles or like seeing each other, to this thing being deployed and just wrecking shop, and it looks like how it does. And it's just like, oh, okay. I had to share that little bit, which is funny. So the funny thing with it is when it is being piloted, you go into a hypnotic state. And when it is activated, it unleashes a godlike power that makes it very strong. It does not have joysticks or pedals. You have to be in this hypnotic trance state while in it, and it just allows you to control it while you are in that state. So yeah, it's very funny that we go from these realistic robots that are like, you even need like drugs to pilot to this being there, which I think is very funny. I love it. I think it's great. It's one of the things that I remember when it happens, when you see it, because you see, in episode 10 is when you see it. Okay, the Katsuten does show up in 2 of the episodes. I believe those episodes 15 and 16 are when we are seeing flashbacks to the much earlier period of the show. So
I assume, given the framing of this, that Dylan has a better source once again.
Yeah.
But
well, I'm just gonna.
This is clearly from the same book.
Yeah, I have the actual book. Here we go. So yeah, here's the Katsuten. Very similar mask going on. Different overall armor design. It's weird because it's different in some ways, but same in other ways, right? Like, just for a quick going over of it, the mask is very similar. You've got the demon horns, you've got the eyes deeply set in, you have the fangs and whatnot. Looks like you have a bit more under fangs on this one. Is the main difference there. As for the head, it almost looks like it's wearing like a hat of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Very thick neck piece going into the torso. Still many layers of armor going in. Torso armor is still very similar though. Upper torso armor piece. It's roped upward rather than on the underside. Does have a thicker lower armor piece. Almost gives it like a exposed belly kind of look. Makes it feel kind of like, what this reminds me of is like when you see if you've ever played any game with yokai, like when you see the imps with like the large bellies generally, like skinny upper body but then like large bellies, is just kind of what this reminds me of. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like I don't know if they were ever really given names. They're just like goblins or imps, I guess.
I do think I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. For the arms, we do have asymmetrical arms here, but the arms have much meaner looking armor overall. So like the left arm, many layers of plate going down with some spikes on it, and the arm is a little bit elongated. Still, it's not like normal arm proportions. So as you go down, you have a large spike coming out of the elbow, or like I guess that's kind of the forearm area on this left arm. And then before you hit the lower forearm, though, it just turns into a bunch of the sections of armor, just much smaller than the ones on the Kugai. But it does have like a bunch of sections, and then the arm is like purposely shown rotated in such a way that makes it show that this whole like assembly, this doesn't move like a normal arm. This whole thing can just like move like throughout, like probably this bicep area not as much, but this whole lower arm is able to like kind of wiggle about. And you have very like clawed hands going on. And then the right arm, you have a spiked bit of armor for the shoulder there. Still many layers going down, but then it has a much longer right arm. Then the right arm also has... Well, you know what? I say it's much longer, actually looking at it. You know what it is? It's that the armor can stretch, because it's got that muscle fiber going all the way down. So you can see it, there. It is like the armor can stretch out, I believe, is what's going on. And then, yeah, but it's got the same overall lower arm armor with the many layers of plates, and then this one final one that has the hands on it, and the very, very pointy, scary looking hands. So yeah, this is another I said Kugai, but like, yeah, or they're all Kugai, they just have specific names. So there's the Shuten, Katsuten, and then, I think there's some in the video game that we'll pull up, but we never really see any others in the show, though. It's just these two. Yeah, there's not even any others, like, in the book there, really. So, yeah. It's just interesting, though. They, Their body parts can also reform over the course of a few days. They just can regenerate. They're scary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, they have the mile 1 muscle is what the name of the muscle is. This is how they made the artificial muscles for the TAs, but yeah. This is the original though, and it, like I said, it can regenerate and do weird things.
I'm gonna post a few others from the game. We're not really gonna
Yeah.
explore them, just sort of.
That's the Puppeteers, I believe that's what that's called. And then we've got
And this is the
Junoichis.
Jonochis, yeah.
Yeah. These things are always meant to be really fucked up though, because here I'm gonna show the rough drafts of them. Even in the early planning stages of the show, seemingly these things are messed up looking. There's like the inside rough, and you can see it's just all muscle and stuff going on the inside. It's basically just like a homunculus underneath there, like an artificial human,
Sure.
and then covered in the armor there. And then you can see they're even playing with like different shapes and stuff. I kind of wish they did this at some point. This weird one that is clearly like crawling on all fours. But yeah, I like these. Anyway, yeah. So the whole middle period of the show is showing where tactical armors come from and these warring clans and these weird robots and lots of weird. From what I've seen, apparently a lot of this part of the story is based on like doing no theater tropes and whatnot, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, it even does mention on the wiki, yeah, you actually to awaken the Kugai and synchronize with it, because the pilot doesn't actually go like inside of it; they are outside of it when it is being controlled. You basically do like a ritual to link your consciousnesses together with the machine. Well, I call it a machine. I don't know if I could call it a machine. But, you know, I guess it's a machine. I don't know. Anyway, just a funny thing to cover on this. I just was excited for us to get to this reveal when we're talking about all these crunchy robots. Because I would argue that, like, the Raiden and the Ishtar are very, like, crunchy in what they do and how they are portrayed. And I like the contrast. I think it's a fun story element. Oh, also just to show it, the mouth can open on it. Here you go. So we have a good close-up of the head here. There's the mouth opening. It has more teeth underneath. Anyway.
He looks kind of sad.
Yeah.
In one of these. But okay.
Yeah. You don't enjoy these. You don't like these as much, I assume.
I just don't know what we're doing. Man. I don't know.
It's interesting. I will say that, like, the halfway point of the show throws people for a bit of a loop, though, yeah. Your reaction is not, is about what I would have expected to us talking about these. Yeah. So that's that, though. So we've basically covered every machine that shows up in the show, though, so that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
All right.
That's it for Gasaraki then.
Yeah.
Dylan, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Low Poly Robot over on Blue Sky, where I post games and robots and whatnot. Six, what about you?
I'm Six Detmore on Blue Sky, and you can find me work at scanlinemedia.com or patreon.com/scanline media, or you could join us in the Scanline Media Discord link down in the show notes. Talk about stuff, make requests. But we have another one of these to record, so until next time, folks, peace out.
Peace.